Okay, welcome to the SSE 3.0. We are still in the fabulous first chakra, and today we're really diving into our shadow selves and our masked selves. So this is going to be a super fun class. Candace is going to start us off with some announcements.
Okay, so some of you have been turning in your homework, and we so appreciate it. It's really good to read all about what you're going through at this time. But we do ask if you are able to make it really easy on us, because it's a lot of homework to grade, is again to just go to your Google Docs. If you've journaled things, like speak into the tools speaker and allow it to be in Google Docs. That way we can actually comment on it there and also have it all in one place. Sometimes it's hard to read your handwriting, and I apologize, but I have the worst handwriting too, so I wouldn't want to read my own handwriting. But it really helps if you guys just type it out or speak it out in Google Docs for us, and then again share it with us, letting us know that there's something in the homework, so we don't have to like continuously check on it. And then secondly, as you can see, there's not many of us here, but I'm so glad that you are. So your responsibility as accountability partners is to check on your partner and let us know if they are going to make it or not. That way we can focus on getting grounded and holding this container, and then you guys can text them and say, where are you? That would really free us up and help kind of deepen that accountability partnership. Does anyone have questions? Okay, awesome. That's it for me.
Okay, let's go into 2-minute check-ins.
Setting the timer. Who'd like to go first?
Okay, I'll go.
Good. Yay.
Hi, guys. I'm doing okay. Feeling a lot energetically lately. Definitely feeling grounded. Had kind of a rough couple days with somebody close to me, but it's going okay, and I feel a little lighter and brighter because of it. And just trying to stay pretty busy and eating healthy, working out. Going to go hike a mountain tomorrow. So that's about it. I'm excited to be here for class.
Awesome. Thank you for your check-in.
Who's next?
I'll go. Like Adam, it's been a challenging couple days with someone close to me. And the one thing you guys mentioned about dancing in the moon when it was full, I did it and it was fun. And I've seen some growth in me because I'm not reacting to the person that's close to me, their stuff. And I'm not taking it on personally, where in the past I would have totally thought it was me and that I've done something wrong once again. And I'm not feeling that way this time. And I put up healthy boundaries, and even though they were pushed, I still stood strong in it, not in a unhealthy way, but in a healthy way. So I'm feeling really good today, and there's a little bit of noise around me because I'm getting ready to go to work here after our call. And that's just for me.
Excellent. I'm so glad you danced under the moonlight.
Oh, it was fun. I danced by myself.
Who's next? Astra.
I'll go. I've had a big week. It's also kind of tough emotionally, but I feel like a lot of weight's been lifted and I've been clearing a lot. Been doing a lot of walks and hikes and outdoor stuff lately and practicing the grounding exercises, which are helping. So yeah, moving forward, I feel like I'm constantly moving forward, which is good. Yeah.
Thank you. Glad you're feeling better.
Go ahead, Michelle.
Okay. Hi.
Hi.
I am, I only heard a few people, but it sounds like there's a consistent theme of, this week. And I definitely feel it as well, but for some reason I am just high and joyous. And I think a lot of that just has to do with a lot of the tools that I'm learning from you and from my other class, and just really being present and really practicing, and even being present when I don't really know what I'm supposed to be present to. And Candace and Nikayla, I shared that with you. I'm like, I have no idea what I'm even supposed to say to you. I just need to call and say something. And so just honoring all that and honoring the people around me, and the two of you, I'm gonna start crying. The two of you have actually really been instrumental in me allowing myself to do stuff like this, just feel my feelings and just, be present with them and let them be. And it's been so long since I've actually allowed anything like that in my life that sort of wipes me out a little bit. And so now there's resistance to it, but different resistance. I don't want to be tired. I don't want to let it go, but I'm still letting myself, and letting myself off the hook. I'm really anal about homework, and I haven't been doing it, but I really feel like I've kind of been doing it, just maybe not physically, but emotionally and spiritually and in practice. So there you go. There's my whirlwind share.
Awesome. Thank you. We're going to be talking all about that today.
So we got Courtney, Debbie, Anna, Charmaine, and Bria.
I apologize. I had to cut out when Candace was talking, so I had to take a work call. So, okay, thank you. Well, things are going okay. Preparing for my daughter's 8th grade graduation on Sunday. And that's basically it. As far as homework goes, I do not have access to a computer. I have been doing the homework via paper, and I have some screenshots of the beginning weeks. So I've been doing the homework, but I just haven't shared it with y'all, and just kind of going through the emotions, I should say.
Awesome. Are you complete?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Are you sure you have one more minute? You can really let it out.
I think I'm just in a space right now where I have a lot of good going on. I have some mixed emotions, and I am, I don't know. How about that? So, I want to do well in this class, and I want to be able to be certified. I just don't have a lot of the tools to do that right now. And so I feel that I'm failing in that department.
Just want you to know, Charmaine, I feel you, and it's okay to feel what you're feeling. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you, Candace.
Okay, who's next?
I guess I'll go. You guys can hear me, right? Because I'm on my phone. I also too I was dealing with somebody close to me, and it's been a week. But good news is my daughter is going to have a preschool graduation next week, so that's something I have mixed emotions for. I'm happy, but you know, I have to be around my ex-husband and his family for a few hours. But at least she's getting a ceremony, which is really important. But otherwise, I feel okay. I'm exhausted. It's the end of the school year, so I'm just very, very, very exhausted. But otherwise, I feel okay. I did get my promotion as the next first leader presenter, my company. But again, I'm having a hard time with sales. But you know, I'm trying to get out as much as possible. Trying to do a lot of walks. I read all 3 books already, which have been really helpful, especially the codependency one has been really helpful. And that's pretty much it.
Thanks, love. We can't hear you, Candace.
No, I
Thank
can't hear you.
Shares. I appreciate it.
Ria, did you want to go next?
Sorry, my car connected to my phone connected to my car. Anyways, I don't know. This week has been really hard. It's been one of the hardest weeks I've had in a long time. Emotionally, I'm drained. Physically drained. It's a lot going on, and at work too. It's just been like I don't want to be there anymore. But in order to make money, I got to. So I'm just have to get refocused definitely, and so I can hurry up and get out of there. So my body's like, you need to leave. My mind's like, you need to hurry up and leave, but I'm not really ready to go. So I just gotta do what I need to do and just boss up and get back on track. So this week has been emotionally draining. That's it.
Thank you, Bria.
All right, I'll go next. I think just like everyone else, I've been feeling a lot of energies this past week. I've been a lot more emotional this past week. But other than that, I've been spending a lot more time by myself, and I've been just going outside more and doing a lot more hikes, which I love. So that's been helping a lot. And yeah, just been a lot more tired. And but other than that, I think just still trying to still focus on myself and work on myself. So.
Thanks for sharing, Anna. I would love to walk you through something if you're okay with it.
Yeah.
Cool. So as we're sitting here, if you want to just take a big deep breath, okay, and really breathe into your bum muscles, like all those pelvic bones and the muscles in your butt that are just on the surface. Breathe in through there, okay, and really let yourself sink into your body, because this is a safe space for you. And I've noticed every time you feel a little bit safer. And so I just want to acknowledge that you are so loved and well supported here, and it's a safe place to share. So breathing into that pelvic area is really going to help settle some of those nerves, okay?
Okay. I'm already getting emotional because I know there's a lot, but thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Debbie, my love, you are the last.
Hi, everyone. So thank you for letting me go last because once again, I feel like I come late to this party, and part of my being here is sort of kind of checking in, how does this whole thing work? What does this mean, this 2-minute check-in? So I thought that I would talk about two different things that happen and things that I'm feeling. I don't really know which is more important or which is the focus here, but this week has been interesting. I had a haircut for the first time in 3 months. Huge. And the interesting thing is I had 2 women check back in like within 24 hours who had not heard from. And I'm like, this is like, is this scary? Like one from the deep, deep past. Or maybe this is like a really, really amazing, good thing. Like they're like coming for me. So I'm really interested to see what that means. I have this like thing with people. I like them, attracted to them. I'm also like, it's been so long, it makes me nervous. So anyway, that's something that happened. But also thinking about our session with the astrologist, I can't remember her name. And I appreciated things that, I connected with, which I thought, oh yeah, that's me. Things that are positive and things that are not so positive. And so I'm left with a lot of questions now that I see these things. What do I do with it? How do I approach it? And Candace is counting me down. I feel like I'm giving an Academy Award speech. You're gonna play me off. And that's all.
Awesome. We are going to help you learn how to navigate that through this course. So, and especially today's class is a good one to really understand a lot of that stuff that you learned with Kalkea last week.
Okay, well, let's get started on today's lessons. I'm super excited. This is one of my favorite subjects. So today we're going to be diving into our shadows. Actually, before I say that, I just want a quick reminder. On the 19th, Friday, next class, 10 days from now, we have a guest speaker, Janelle Conching. Did I say that right? She's amazing, phenomenal woman. So don't miss that next Friday. Okay, so now that we're stepping into our shadow selves, something actually came up for me on a client call this morning that I want to share with you to start off this conversation. She was resistant to reaching out to me as much this week because we had a really deep session earlier last week, and she Marco Polo'd me today that she had fears coming up that I was only seeing her pain and weakness and that I wasn't also seeing all the strengths in her, right? And so what I explained to her was that what I get to do, and one of my superpowers, is to look at you, all of you beautiful people, and see your whole. I see your light, right? I see your essence, but I also see your darkness and your shadow. And for me, none of that is negative or weak or icky, right? Because for me, none of them are labeled good or bad. For me, you need both your light and your darkness to be you, right? And so as she said that, I let her know I get to see both sides of you, but I'm also teaching you how to love these parts that you think are weak or in pain, right? And that's the purpose of learning about our shadows and masks. It's not to condemn ourselves. It's not to shame ourselves or look down on ourselves about anything. This is about getting to know us fully. If we were all love and light here, it would be a pointless journey. We are here to integrate our shadows and learn the next lesson so that in our next life, we can take all of this information we gathered. But as humans here on this earth, we choose to learn these lessons and have the experiences through negative emotions, pain, heaviness, all of this stuff, but it's only because that's how we learn. And we always have the choice of how much we suffer, how much pain we're in. It's just a lot of times our egos are programmed to really like suffering. And so we usually choose the hardest way out, right? And so life looks bleak and dark when really it's just the lenses we have on. So we're going to get super up close and personal with our shadows this next week. Candace and I have some really beautiful tools that are coming through your homework that are going to guide you through activities, quizzes, and videos to really help you to form a relationship with your shadow. And I really want you to focus on that aspect, building a relationship with your shadow. Okay? So we're going to have some fun here with our shadows today. And our shadow selves are really the part of our psyche, the part of ourselves that we have because of some sort of experience in our life deemed bad or unworthy of other people seeing. Okay. So one of my shadow selves that I'm very proud of is my crazy bitch. And I've named her that. It's not an insult. It's just truly who she is. And this is my like gangster, hood rat, really psycho jealous, no impulse control, sometimes violent woman. And she was crazy. Like when I think about some of the things that she did, I don't know. I'll tell you a story later if I feel like I'm brave enough. I don't really share, and Candace has never heard a lot of these stories because I'm very much just starting to own them. But the thing is when I could start looking at this crazy bitch, right, as this person who ruined my life and made things so much harder, and instead take a step back and say, oh my gosh, I must have been in so much pain for her to have to step forward. And thank goodness she was there to help me survive that relationship, to help me stand up for myself when there was no other way, to help my voice be heard, to help me find out the truth. Was it the most healthy ways? Definitely not. But did it accomplish the mission? Yeah, she sure did. She got me to the ripe old age of 26. And that's when I was really like, okay, you're going to take a step back. And now she only comes out, because she does still come out, but she only comes out when I need her, when I call on her, because there is a time and a place for our shadows sometime to come out, right? She gives me this strength, this passion, this fire. And I have to own those parts of her that can also sometimes get a little unhealthy and out of control. Raise your hand if this is making sense. Okay. So as you go through the shadow series and as you think about your shadow today, you're going to give a name to the different parts of yourself. Okay. So I have crazy bitch. I also have narcissistic Nelly. And she's surfaced recently as I started to explore my relationship with my mom. And I realized like I used to be a mad narcissist. And that's one of the reasons I'm so triggered by them now, right? I have my liar. And she got me until I was in my 20s. And sometimes she still comes out in the form of exaggeration and trying to make me feel better about myself, right? But I can't look at any of these things and say, Nikayla, you're a bad person because you lied for so long, right? Nikayla, you're a bad person because you enjoyed one night stands for probably too many years of your life, right? I can't say I'm a bad person for that. I can just say that was interesting. And I learned so much, and I learned how to value my body. But notice how all of the ways that I'm speaking about my shadow aren't negative, right? You can tell that I have this sense of love for my shadow. I see her strengths and I see the positive in even those things that society might tell me are bad, right? Because just because we can get better, just because we can bring ourselves into the light doesn't mean those parts of ourselves are not good. And those are the labels I really want you to try to steer away from, is the good and bad and the right or wrong. Okay? So as you step in and get close and in touch with your shadow self, as you explore those parts of yourself that maybe you're like ashamed, like, oh my gosh, if people knew that about me, right? Those like really like moments where it's just you and the world and nobody else gets to know, that's your shadow. And I want you to know that it is so safe here. And there's nothing that you can tell Candace or I that's going to diminish your light and love. And the reason that is because when we vibrate at love, that's what we see in others. And we want to teach you to look at those parts of yourself that you've really condemned, that you've thrown into the darkness, and start to love them. And so that way, when you look at another, you see the light in them as well as the darkness, right? Because just because I look at you and I see all of your shadow, it does not stop the love. There's no judgment there. And that's where I want you to get to, is when you see those, dang, I must be hurting, or she must be hurting, and really utilize your shadows as seeing how you're wounding showing up, seeing the stories that you've been telling yourself, right? And the way that your family has really molded you to see right and wrong, good and bad, within yourself and within others. Okay? And that way, when you see this darkness or this negative energy or this bad parts, instead of judgment, we meet it with compassion and understanding and prayer and grace. And there doesn't need to be any harshness or critical self-talk mixed in with this healing process. It's truly all about love. And that is how we honor our darkness, is by being gracious and kind to ourselves. So I'm going to ask you to be brave, and this is not a requirement. This is just an exercise you get to participate in if you choose. And all you need to do is unmute yourself and go ahead and say something about one of your shadows. 30 seconds tops. You can just say it out loud.
I am a massive, controlling, organizing, get it done, power through, don't stop me, you can't stop me machine. I call it my superwoman. So I can do it all.
Good. So the part of that I want you to even take a step farther from, okay, so you have her here. We're going to go even deeper. And I want you to explore this week why she showed up in the first place and what shadow she's actually covering.
Oh,
okay?
I know it.
Cool. And
Thanks.
I want you to get deeper and deeper, because the ones that are really easy for us to say and share, right? Those are, you're gonna hear from Candace a different way that we show up, some of the different masks we put on, right? And not necessarily a deep part of our shadow, but when we take it a step back further and say, what is this covering, right? What is that hard part to say, to expose?
You want me to say it?
If you feel comfortable.
Oh, totally. I've actually done this work with this through a different program. So, but never considered the loving it part. Using it when I need it, but never considered the loving it. So I'm excited about that. But mine is not being enough and having to prove that I'm enough and that that I'm worthy. And that's really where that superwoman comes out. Is she comes out to show that I am enough and I can do it. And it's like this whole proof thing. And I have to prove myself. And that's where she is coming out. Take charge over.
Thank you. Anybody else feel like they can share? And Debbie, I saw your question. So this is, it's what's hidden, right? But it's also what we know about, but that we choose to hide or look down on within ourselves, right? So that dark part of our psyche, or negative labeled aspect of our psyche, the part of ourselves we don't really show other people.
So just a follow-up question. It has to do with when each individual considers something that they, for whatever reason, want to keep hidden. So it could be different for every person. So people
Yep.
could, okay, thank you. It's helpful.
Yeah, of course. Anyone else feel brave enough to share?
I'll go.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's more so a shadow side, but definitely the suffering. And I know I can be a little conceited here and there. And, you know, I've done drugs and partied and meaningless sex and selfish and everything. And I feel like I'm pretty good at recognizing those, but no, I think it's important, like you said, too, to make peace with your shadow and accept the dark along with the light, like you said.
Beautiful. And Adam, that was an awesome share. And I want you to just notice, I'm just going to call you out. Like you changed your vibration as you said certain things. So when you said conceited, you went lower. When you said selfish, you went
Yeah.
lower, right? So these are
Yeah.
how we know we still feel that shame, right? And so
Right.
you have to be able to say, okay, I am so brave for saying this now, but how do I love this now, right? So that's where I want to push you. Ashta, did you want to go?
So I can get crazy, crazy, crazy jealous. And I know that that comes from these deep insecurities of not being worthy of like the people in my life or of the good things. And I find that jealousy for me is reducing myself to nothing and everyone else seems better. So I raise them up and I bring myself down. But it shows up in an ugly jealousy, which I hate. So I need work on that.
Beautiful. And I actually have something I want to read to you because I worked with jealousy and still work with jealousy. It's a tough one. I want you to think about this for a second. Where you're look at the places where you're extremely jealous, and that's going to tell you your deepest wounds and sabotaging behaviors. So with that jealousy, you can look at your relationships, yourself, and your wounds and say, what is this in me? And we're going to get really specific when it comes to jealousy, right? Whether it's body image or intelligence or anything like that, you can get really specific. So book your session with me and let's get deeper into that. Okay, so these are really good shares. Does anyone else want to share before we continue? Awesome. This class is such a beautiful container for the shadow self because it's full of love and it's full of mirrors, okay? So as you begin to share these parts of ourselves, I just want you to know it's okay to feel that vulnerability hangover and it's okay to feel exposed. That's part of being able to sit with the discomfort, okay? So I really want you guys to understand that all humans have this inner shadow somewhere deep inside. And I want to read a quote from Carl Jung about the shadow self. And he said, "It is a frightening thought that man also has a shadow side to him, consisting not just of little weaknesses and foibles, but of a positively demonic dynamism. The individual seldom knows anything of this. To him, as an individual, it is incredible that he should ever in any circumstance go beyond himself. But let these harmless creatures form a mass and there emerges a raging monster." So that is a really deep vision of your shadow self. And it's really if you think of like that Native American legend with the two wolves and which one you feed is which one grows bigger, that's a lot like your shadow. But we have to be able to look at our shadow very honestly and not only say, this is how it has showed up, but start to find compassion for it in a way where we say, okay, so I was violent. I was full of rage. I was angry. I'm going to sit with this person who showed up and I'm going to say, what are the things that I did and what was the resulting feeling from that experience, right? Why did my inner child, why did my shadow choose to act in these behaviors? So I'll give you guys a glimpse at teenage Nikayla really quick. So when I was 12 years old, I went through this big emotional transition. And I was like rebelling against every part of society. So not only did I run away, but I really started doing drugs, drinking a lot. And my parents, in order to like help uplift me before, had really gotten me into martial arts. So I had 2 black belts. I was so ripped and I was angry, which means I could hurt you. And I did. I was actually, from the time I was 14 to 18, arrested 4 times for assault and 1 time for grand theft auto of a police car. Little light and love Nikayla, because I was so consumed by rage and anger, and I didn't know what to do with everything I was feeling in my body, but I knew if anybody saw it, that I would be rejected, that I would be bad, that I was evil. Because how could anyone ever have these thoughts? How could anyone ever think these things, right? And it was like wanting to hurt people, wanting to lie to people, right? Because that's the only way I knew how to get the attention from others or have my voice be heard, right? And so I really had to sit back and look at this anger, because even though I stopped impulsively acting on my shadow, she showed up in different ways later on. I was just way better at functioning in society with it, right? So then I put masks on top of my shadow and I refined it and I made it acceptable to society. But little did I know it was still down here making little rage babies that were about to bubble over, right? And unfortunately for me, because I kept my emotions and my badness bottled up inside so long, I truly believe that's what led me to get cancer in my early 20s, because there was just so much that I wasn't willing to look at. And that's why I'm telling you this is none of us are who we seem, but we all have the potential to stand in the essence of love when we embrace our shadow. And we have to be really careful, because there's all of that love and light going around right now, which is what Candace and I teach. But it's not to cover or mask the darkness. It's to embrace it and cultivate a relationship with the darkness so that we can bring love and light in, not mask over it. And that's a common misperception today, is that you can positive affirm your way out of anything, right? And that just doesn't work. So we love our darkness and develop a relationship. So as you go through this, please be gentle. If judgments start coming in, if a shame spiral starts coming in, me and Candace want to know about it. We will work through it with you, because if you go through the whole shame spiral, you can stay stuck there for months, and that does nothing for anybody. So be gentle, reach out, and just be an observer through this stage, okay? Awesome.
Thank you, Nikayla, for sharing all that. I feel everyone's like, whoa, she did what? And it's like, oh, how badass are you now? That's the beauty of understanding the shadow self, is they have wonderful skills and we can utilize it in many different ways. Now, what I'm going to talk to you guys about is the masked self. And what's interesting is, so my hair's did, I have makeup on, and you have no idea that I was bawling my eyes out all last night, right? You can't tell. You can't tell that I was super angry and jealous and going crazy just a few nights before. You can't tell, right? Because guess what? This, my dears, is a masked self. Like, I'm okay, I'm fine, I'm doing well. How are you? Right? We do this because we want to seem perfect. It's our idealized self in a place where we feel very vulnerable. Like, we don't want other people to know that we have this wounded self within that doesn't want to fail, that doesn't want to be unloved, that doesn't want to feel unworthy. And so we'll put on a mask. And for women, you know, we can do up our hair and put on makeup. For men, it's like just put on that tough exterior and we're good to go, right? And so what happens is then we buy into this idealized self, this mask, and we basically, the ego begins to believe in it wholeheartedly, that anything that is not our masked self is now, that's the false, right? But I just had a huge breakthrough with this by restudying this for myself. And I began to see like my own wounded child within that was underneath this mask. And that's what it is. It basically is a decision we made about ourselves in our childhood where we didn't want to be hurt ever again. And that could be where you didn't feel the love and acceptance, or you felt like you were powerless, or you felt like you just didn't belong. So we put on this mask to fit in and to be functioning people in this world, like Nikayla was saying. And so we make up these generalized ideas about what we think we should be, and we like hold ourselves to this standard. And the thing is when crisis or shit hits the fan, the idealized masked self is the first thing that starts to crumble. And that's why we have like this identity crisis, because we've been believing in this illusion for a really long time. It's who we are. And what's interesting for me, what I just really like understood about myself is like I have a very bitchy self, and it's passive aggressive, and it's also mean. And in a way, I discovered what that was finally last night. Like I've been doing this stuff for years, and I finally figured it out. And I was like, holy crap. And that's the thing, is when you discover it, you just are like stunned, and you realize like, oh my God. And then what's interesting, what happens is I began crying, and it just melted the mask away. And it just wasn't on my face. It was like on my body, right? It like covers, it's thick, it's like goo. And it just begins to fall away. And then all of a sudden, it literally is an identity crisis. Like, well, then who the hell am I? What did I just do for the last 40 years? Like, holy shit, you know? So this masked self, once you really allow yourself to see it, it begins to give you your real self back. It gives you your authentic self, which has the negative emotions and positive emotions, because that is our humanity, right? And we're so afraid to show this shadow self or our negative emotions of what we really feel, because guess what? When we were kids, that probably was not acceptable, right? We were either unloved for it, or punished for it, or even ignored for it. So then we put on the mask. So the 3 things I'm going to share with you are 3 different kinds of masks that I want you to kind of tune into. They one could be your dominant, and the others could, you know, fall in alignment with you depending on your circumstance. But the first mask is the power mask. The power mask happens to be if you feel like you are powerless as a kid. Maybe you're bullied, you're abused, or you know, called names. Whatever it was, is like, I am never going to feel like this again, so I'm going to be so ever powerful. I'm going to own my shit. I'm going to be independent. I'm going to be strong. I'm going to do everything I can do to show that I win, right? I am better than everybody else. I'm better than these people, that people, whatever, better than my circumstances. And so you'll often see this mask like really accomplish great feats, right? Because they're very competitive. They will like disown their body of like what their body is telling them what to do, and like make it so fatigued and on the brink of illnesses. They'll also like step all over people. But the thing is inside is this ooey gooey heart center that all they want is love and connection and someone to just love on them, but they can't, because now they've built this power mask exterior that is, I'm fine, I got this, I'm strong, I'm independent, I don't need anybody. But then they're sitting there like alone, sad, lonely, and they have to do it all over again because they've built up this idealized self. And that's no fun. You know, this power mask definitely is something I can do big time for sure in different respects, like especially with my relationship, because sometimes my husband has that third chakra, which we'll talk about in the future, where it's like, this is my wall and you can't get in. So I'm like, fine, I'm fine on my own. I can do whatever I want, right? But inside, I'm just like, I want connection and your love. Let me in. But that's actually my own wall, because I'm not allowing myself to be actually like that feminine energy and be soft. Like I'll come in there like huffy puffy like a man, and then we go into competition mode, and that doesn't create love connection, right? So that's why they thrive in like business atmospheres. So for you to heal this mask, guess what you got to do? You got to feel. You got to say, I have feelings, and I feel vulnerable, and to express it to somebody, especially somebody that is close to you, so that you can allow yourself to like let that love in, right? And it's going to take some time, because think about that really tough exterior you've built up. Like sometimes, like I have a client where she has a big power mask, and the kind of love that she shows is like definitely a tough love, but I know that that's love. So if someone were to allow this mask to crumble, their face might go like, it's like a very transformative face. Like they don't know how to be like that loving face. It's like still, but it's melting, right? So, but the biggest thing is to just acknowledge it, and to acknowledge the wound in the first place, of like where in your childhood that you had to protect yourself and defend yourself from people that were mean or abusive or whatever it was. Okay. And does anyone have this as their primary mask? You can just raise your hand. Okay, awesome. So the second mask is the mask of love. This mask is actually a very strong person, but guess what they do? What they do is they make themselves weak. They make themselves subservient and helpless, so that then they get the love from other people, because if you're, a little weak and helpless, then more people will try to help you and save you and love on you, right? Like I know I've done this in the past, where it's like you pretend to be a little less than okay, and then they like pour this love on you, because I'm like dying for love because I didn't get it from my family, right? And so now I have to people please, and I have to be the perfect little good girl so that everyone thinks I'm like great to be around. And then what happens is then you are basically, it's tactically extracting love from them, and so you give love. It's like a crazy exchange. Like, I'll give you love, so I ensure that I get love back, because I don't feel worthy or loved. So I have to do everything in my power to make you feel loved, so I get the approval and the love back. And that can be exhausting. So this mask definitely puts on airs, so they'll be of service. Like an idea of this is, I was reading it in the book that it's called The Undefended Self. And it's interesting. She's like a beautiful wife, a mother of 4. She's a part of many community boards. She's a part of the church, and she will do everything for everybody else. But guess what? It's at the expense of herself and her soul. And so inside, she begins to crumble and die and like lose her mind. But guess what's happening? It's because there's an inner resentment that is building of having to take care of every single thing that she said yes to in her life. And so now it's like, well, who's going to take care of me? But she can't even show that anger inside. Because then she won't get that love back, right? So she'll continue to put on airs of like, how can I love you? How can I do this for you? And then you can actually see it, like it's like a grabby anger energy, like super passive aggressive, but with a big fat smile on her face, right? So to heal this one is to actually begin to say no to things, to begin to like be real with other people and let them know your boundaries, right? And to begin to just acknowledge that what you're feeling inside, the anger and resentment, is not necessarily towards anyone else truly. It's an anger at yourself. And that's why self-love and self-care is going to be so important, because you got to rebuild yourself up. And a lot of times, especially women, we get the whole thing of like the superwoman or the martyr, right? But we don't want to get to those energies. We want to get to the place where it's like we are in quality connection with each other, and I'm giving because I truly want to give. I don't want to get anything from you, right? I want to be just there because I want to truly give, because I have an overflowing amount of love energy for you. I'm not going to do things for you because I need love from you. And oh man, I've done this in my relationship too. I will do everything for him to like make sure he's fine and he's okay. And then when I don't get the love back, I'll give in even more. And then I'm like depleted. And then I even ruin the situation for love, because now I'm just pissed and I can't even do anything. But I'm pissed and he can feel it because he's an empath. And so then he's like, well, I don't want to hang out with you. You're angry. And I said, but I'm not angry. I love you. Right? So that's how that can show up. So really owning your own self and start loving on yourself and accept who you are, because you really are a loving being. It's just you've done so much for everyone else and nothing for yourself. Okay? And the last mask is the serenity mask. And oftentimes the one that picks the serenity mask is one that doesn't have the energy to put so much love in place. Like it doesn't want to do everything for everybody else. Like it's kind of lazy in that sense. And it actually also can't really be aggressive and powerful because it doesn't feel confident enough to even hold that. So then it will do the mask of serenity, which is actually a withdrawal energy. It will withdraw from situations, be like, I'm good, I'm okay, life is fine. I know everyone will figure it out. It's not my responsibility to deal with. So they really abstain from any kind of responsibility with anybody, because they just don't want to be responsible, because they feel like failures. They don't know how to be anything. So they just take on the mask of serenity, which actually creates numbness. And that numbness then keeps them from feeling anything, right? They're unafraid. They're afraid of being too powerful. They're afraid of allowing love in. So they'll just be this even keeled person. And so oftentimes, I've seen this in the hippies, right? Like, I'm not going to do anything, like I'm fine. And so they always put on the air of like positive energy and all is love. But inside you can tell like they're escaping themselves. They're escaping situations. They're escaping truly living in their body. And this can be connected to the root chakra wound that we're talking about, which is all about leaving the body and not being here present, like bringing your gifts into this world and connecting with others. So this one can often also, just want to see something I wanted to share. It can go into like a false spiritual detachment or a very cynical worldly detachment, right? So that they can just be like, oh, the world sucks, government sucks, blah, 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 but not ever do anything about it. Or they can be that high spiritual vibe, like I was just saying, like all is love and light, to avoid everything and mask that nothing is wrong with them. So this one too, like, which is common for all of the mask, is, guess what? Is just feel your feelings and talk to somebody about it. Because the mask is what covers all this fear energy, because we don't want to be unloved or unworthy or bad. So the thing is this mask now is in place, and guess what? It will hide on you. All three of these masks will hide because you have identified with it. This is who you think you are, and it's not. And that's the thing that I experienced last night, is like, wow, I thought I was loving. I thought I was powerful. But what I was doing is, anytime someone like told me like that this was going on with me, I deflect and I defend, I justify, and I say, that's not me, right? But it is me. And now to heal it is to own it, just like we're owning our shadow selves, and give ourselves this opportunity to face the mask and take it off to see what's really underneath. And there's going to be layers, I'm not going to lie. Like, I probably just removed like that much from like this much that I took off in the years before. So it's there and it's slowly falling away. Debbie asks, how do you come to this realization? Honestly, it's beginning to look at how, like, what are you protecting? Like, why are you wanting to create such an impression on other people or in your life? So you got to just ask yourself. Yep, Debbie.
So I was asking it if it's okay personally, because you were talking about what happened last night. How did you come to this realization?
Well, the full moon that we experienced is that Sagittarius full moon with the lunar eclipse, and it's like, you know, removing shadows. And I asked myself, like, who am I? And I was like, I truly want to know, honestly. And it didn't come that night. It helped me see certain things, but in my own homework and studying, especially with the information I wanted to deliver, because I have to refresh myself, and I was reading about it, and I was in a fight with Isaac this past couple of days. I was like, why am I even feeling this way? What's happening? And so in that, like, as I'm reading this information and studying about myself, I was like, oh shit. And then he came to talk to me and I was defending. I was like, oh shit. You know, so you just begin to like notice, and you realize, like, why am I doing this? So that really helps, is just questioning yourself. Like, why do you do anything that you're doing? Like, what are you trying to create? Why are you trying to impress? Why are you trying to hide? Why aren't you able to let the real you out? And who is the real you? Have you even gotten to know her or him? So that is the mask. And it oftentimes covers the shadow, right? Like, maybe it comes out, your mask gets more removed with close people in your life if you trust them. But if you don't, you probably even put it even like more caked on. So yeah, it takes time. I mean, I discovered about this mask self probably in 2011, and I knew I was definitely a love mask, but I didn't know how it operated in my life, and like what it actually did, and why I had such inner rage inside of me. Like, that was what I was actually really trying to figure out. Like, why am I so damn angry all the time when I'm like doing really good? And that was what was in there. And I'll give you another realization really quickly before we switch gears. So I sat there with this mask on, and I then went back to the childhood wound, right? And what I realized is that I was so angry with my dad for leaving, you know, for my mom and dad divorcing, for now having to prove my love and having to win over his love, And so basically that love mask started coming in there, because now he was only visiting us at like a couple times out of the year. So I had to be the most amazing, gorgeous, good little girl so I could have that attention. But then guess what? When he left, I was pissed, and I had this power mask on, and that's what I would portray around my brothers and sisters, and then around my mom. Like, I'm fine, I'm okay, but didn't let anyone see my vulnerability. So then that's what attracted me to my mates, right? Like people that I had to give so much love to, but then were unavailable. And so now I had to be strong and independent. And then now I look at where Isaac is, and like he's, you know, like his own person. And so I have to be strong and independent, but then I'm like trying to win over his love. And then it's this crazy cycle. Like I'm not mean, right? But I love you. And that's kind of like my thought processes. And it was crazy because it showed like a connection of the dots of my own memories. And it was like just tears streaming, like I freaking did this to myself in order to receive love and to have power. So if that helps you with your own processes. Does anyone have any questions? Who has the love mask? Raise your hand. And who has the serenity mask? Okay. And they can be in combination, which, by the way, if you do have a combination like I do, it really fucks you up. Because it's all, you know, it doesn't work together, honestly. Thank you.
So we have a minute or two of spaciousness if anybody has questions or comments about either Candace or I's teachings or anything that just came up with you for you. Thanks, Astra. Okay, well, we are going to do a journey about our shadow selves and try to get a little closer and cuddly with our shadow. So just a reminder, Candace is in the background clearing anything that comes up. So at the end of the call, she's going to let us know what came up. So if you feel your energy moving, I'm usually holding your feet down and she's working her magic. So let it come over you. And the biggest thing here is just no expectations. Let yourself feel and experience whatever you need to. So a reminder for those of you who weren't at our first journey, you're going to black out your screen, put headphones in if possible, and lie down. It's best lying down. And then in the spaciousness where I let you know that the time is yours, that is meant to be silent and for you to listen to messages from source. So it's okay to breathe into the silence. You will hear the shamanic drumming in the background. And I'll wake you up when it's time to come back to class. So get settled and enjoy. I'll just wait a few seconds for y'all to get comfy. If you're already there, let's just take some breaths into our body. Breathing in and out. I actually want you to tense up every muscle in your entire body from your head to your toe. Clenching your jaw, your feet, your buttocks, your cheeks, your brain, your neck. Clenching it all, focusing on the tension and breathing a sigh of relief as you let go of all your muscles, letting them melt down into the surface beneath you, allowing yourself to sink into a deep relaxation. Focusing on your breath. Any thoughts or feelings that rise up, just allow them to float away. And I want you to envision yourself walking down a beautiful path, well lit with flowers on either side of you. The direction is clear. Each step forward brings you deeper into connection with yourself. As you walk down this path, you notice a beautiful castle in front of you. That is your destination. Walking briskly towards this castle in excitement, you notice a light rain begin to fall down on you. This rain floods your body with beautiful red energy, connecting you to the Earth Mother, grounding in your energy, breathing life back into you, nurturing and strengthening your spirit as you connect with our sacred earth. Still walking forward, this beautiful red energy transitions into a deep and vibrant orange. As this orange energy drips down onto you, your feminine awakens. Your sensuality is heightened, your creativity soars as you sink into the deep surrender. This beautiful orange energy soothes your soul. As it fades into a vibrant yellow, your core ignites and activates as a beautiful flame is ignited within, burning power and confidence through your spirit, lighting you up. You stand a little taller here as you breathe in freedom. Green replaces the yellow as your heart space opens. Green spirals pulsating in and out of your heart space bring you back to the pure vibration of love. As you remember who you are, this beautiful green energy pours over you. Another change of the colors, now a soft pale blue, begins to consume you. You feel your throat open and expand as warm energy drips down it. You're able to speak your truth, walk in your own unique truth, not confounded by any rules or structures, but spacious and free. And as this blue deepens to the color of the night sky, your third eye opens and activates. You have an all-knowing vision here, a deep sense of your intuition. As you see clearly. And with the final change of the colors, this indigo transitions to a deep violet with shades of glimmering pure white energy pouring down through your crown as you connect to God, igniting the divine within you, now connected from head to toe, body, mind, and spirit in alignment. As the colors fade, you realize you're standing now right in front of the castle. As you walk in, now purified and buzzing with electricity, you enter a room. The walls speckled with black obsidian crystal. Everything is covered and shiny. As you stand in the center of this room, the door shuts behind you, consuming you in darkness. You feel strangely safe here. A vial of golden energy appears in front of you. As you drink it down, you are filled with the energy of life and truth, safety and comfort as this golden energy sinks into you. And as you stand here, each flake of obsidian on the wall transforms into one of your shadows, a part of yourself that you've long denied, that you've shoved away, shamed, or condemned. As you stand in the center of this room, allow your shadows to stand before you. Greet them, embrace them, and give them a name. Let them tell you about your blind spots or what you failed to see. Open your mind and heart to hear these words, knowing that you are safe. The time now is yours. And as this powerful meeting comes to an end, take a look at your shadows lined up before you. Embrace them, thank them. Let them know that you will no longer abandon or condemn them, but that you are ready to heal and grow alongside them. And as you stand in the beautiful dark room surrounded by your shadows, the room begins to fill with a beautiful mixture of pink and green energy. As this pink and green energy weaves through you and your shadows, wrapping you in love, acceptance, and grace, you see yourself whole, transformed, radiant, and powerful. As your yin and yang ignite, your darkness and light merge, your feminine and masculine balance. Everything flows in perfect harmony. Feeling renewed, it's now time to leave this beautiful castle and venture back to the earthly realms where you can integrate this knowledge and cultivate this relationship with your shadow. As you open the door and step back onto the beautiful pathway lined with flowers, as your feet hit the ground, you begin to enter your body, landing back in your room, feeling the surface beneath you as your fingers and toes begin to wiggle. When you're ready, open your eyes and rejoin the circle. Good job, everybody. Candace is going to share with us what she cleared, and I would love for you, if you feel open, to post in the Facebook group about your experience.
Okay, so I did this in two parts because we worked on both the shadows and the masks. So I asked what we needed to clear for our shadows, and it was a block to acceptance, being able to accept ourselves as we are, faults and all, good and bad, right and wrong. I also had to clear a program of stinginess, but that meant basically we are unwilling to give of ourselves, unwilling to give of our true self because we're afraid of people that will hurt it. But if you are in trust of yourself, you'll always truly protect it in the right way, right? And again, a lot of those shadow selves are very beautiful. There's some really fun aspects and amazing aspects to those shadow selves. So if you can allow it to come out, then you're giving of yourself, all of you, not just parts of you, all of you. I have also had to clear a block to giving yourself freedom. Basically, you're not letting these parts of you see the light of day. They hide in the darkness. You know, sometimes that's where they come out at night, you know, where you're feeling these feelings more so. So allowing your soul to express these things and to be yourself. Like, these aren't bad, right? And it was interesting, as I was clearing the block to giving freedom, this little dialogue came through, and I'll just read it. Who am I without all that pain and suffering? Am I this way because I've been hurt? Others did this to me, so this is who I am. I can't change, and I don't want to change. This keeps me safe and secure, and I won't let go. So we just need to give ourselves freedom to not hold ourselves in bondage to this part of ourselves anymore, so that it can be set free. And then when I was clearing the mask, it was basically a block to being open to receive the greater good, because we've created this construct of control of, this is how I know it should be, this is how I get love, this is how I get power, this is how I'm just chill. So I'm not going to drop those defenses and allow myself to just trust in who I really am, which is actually where your divine destiny and your mission truly come through. Otherwise, it comes in bits and pieces. But if you really surrender, then you can open up to this greater good more than you can even imagine. Because it's not you protecting your life, it's you allowing your life to be moved through. And then the last thing I had to clear was a desire to suffer. And basically, just with what I read earlier, it's like we hold on to this because this is how we've known ourselves to be for so long, that we are silently killing ourselves because we feel unworthy, unloved, or bad. So, if you can release the suffering, you don't have to suffer through this anymore. You will be open to receive the greater good that's out there and connect you to the right people in the right places at the right time. And that is it.
You guys did really, really beautiful today. This is big work, and it can be really scary to have these realizations. And so if you're feeling some type of way, it's okay. It's completely natural. And the best thing you can do, and I know this seems counterintuitive to how you feel right now, is to share, express, and reach out for help, right? Because this needs to be felt, and it also needs to be witnessed. And that's what Candace and I are here for, is to witness these parts of you and still show you that you are worthy of love. So let us do that, and we can all come together fully and wholly. And again, we've heard every shadow self out there. There's nothing that's going to scare us away. And so you just, say it out loud in one of our sessions or on a Marco Polo, and you'll feel like this little, and then it goes away. And it's so nice to be like, oh my God, somebody truly knows me and sees me, and I don't have to hide anymore. And this part of me isn't bad anymore, right? So beautiful job.
I think that Nikayla and I combined have experienced a lot of shadow selves.
Yep.
We were
Pretty much
all of
like
them.
everything. Oh, it's so funny, like, to think about if Candace and I would have made like different turns along the way, right? And not been able to acknowledge these parts. It's just so crazy the way that your life can turn around, and the way that just one small choice in a different direction can completely transform and give the light a little bit more power than the dark, right? So the fact that you're all here choosing this, you should be so proud of yourself, because you're saying, I'm willing to own this and look at this. So that's a huge, huge accomplishment.
And Charmaine says, is she the only one that's hot? She's sweaty and her fingers are cold. Yeah, this, like, going into the deep energy work of Nikayla's shamanic journey, and then me clearing, like, it's allowing yourself to come alive. So what I highly recommend is dance, because you're going to, by dancing and shaking, it actually begins to remove the mask and allows the shadows to come out to play, and it becomes released. And I'm not just like, grooving, shaking. It's like, really shake your ass off and jump and all kinds of stuff to get like that energy circulating to move. It will fall off. Awesome.
I want you guys to have a visual, because I know that this is like a hard thing to comprehend, but if you can think of it, so like when I'm taking you through this journey, like Candace physically sees what she's pulling out of you. And I see your bodies aren't just laying there, your spirits are actually moving through the journey. So I get to see you come in and out of your body. And if you think you're just laying there relaxing, you're not. There's a reason you're really hungry after class and thirsty after class and tired after class, because even though you think you're just sitting there, your spirit is going through the healing. Candace is releasing, and like if you could see what was happening, you would be laying in bed, like nurturing your body instead of like, why the hell am I so tired right now? So I really want you to think about, like, this isn't just sitting in class listening to information. You're healing on a physical, energetic level as well. So don't forget that part.
Yeah, and you could, like me, I stepped on the scale today, and with what I just went through, I lost like 3 pounds. No kidding. It's crazy. But that's because that was concrete on my body, that mask. So just know that you'll be hungry, you might go to the bathroom a lot. Who knows? You might drop a lot of weight. You might be so hot, like you're just sweaty all the time. Embrace it. It's your body transforming with the energy.
Okay, loves, your homework will be posted in the Facebook group and via email later this evening. So enjoy, and you have, remember, until July for your first quarter calls. You get one with both Candace and me. So if you haven't had 2 one-on-one sessions, go ahead and book one.
Yes.
End of July. Yep.
Okay.
Yay.
Thank you. Have a great day, and don't forget to reach out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.